Around 2 months ago, we were all given the news that Sea of Thieves adventures would be put on hold. During a news video posted on the Sea of Thieves channel, we were told that Rare would be pressing the pause button on adventures in order to let Season 9 shine and to make way for the anniversary celebrations as Sea of Thieves celebrated its 5th year. That was 2 months ago, and with Season 9 well established now as a great quality of life and sandbox boosting update, the 5th year anniversary celebrations are all done and dusted. We're left wondering what's next for the story of Sea of Thieves. Hello pirates, my name is Ellie and I post regular Sea of Thieves videos on this channel. If you want to stay up to date with the game, then remember to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I put up a new video. I also have a Discord server that's growing with plenty of keen Sea of Thieves players. Head over to ellieboop.com/discord to join and say hello. You can also find me over on Twitter at ellieboopplays. There are many things I could talk about when it comes to Sea of Thieves and their storytelling over the past year or so. For one, I was never a fan of adventures being time limited. I have friends who weren't playing during the Herald of the Flame adventure, for example, and who are pretty disappointed that the continuation of the Heart of Fire Tall Tales is now inaccessible. Just because they weren't playing for those particular weeks, they've missed a pretty important story arc. Another aspect is that the original Tall Tales are all mainstays in the game, and anyone can pick up from the beginning and play through those stories, whether they bought the game last year or if they buy it today. That isn't the case with adventures, and with such a small time-limited window of 2 or maybe 3 weeks for these adventures, it's no wonder large portions of the player base have missed things. Some of the biggest story beats so far for Sea of Thieves have been told through these time-limited adventures. And whilst I understand the need for an evolving world in a live service game, the story elements, or at least the major story elements, shouldn't really ever be time-limited to such an extent that if you weren't playing for those specific 2 weeks during a said year, you miss a groundbreaking story reveal. It's hard for players to remain invested in a story if they can so easily miss major events. Don't get me wrong, Sea of Thieves is not the only live service game to experience problems such as this. You only have to look at Destiny 2 and the issues they've had around content vaulting, seasonal storytelling, and the new player experience from a story point of view to see that these problems are not just limited to Sea of Thieves, but are a side effect of a live service game that aims to provide an evolving world to its players. I guess with these kind of live service games, storytelling and how to approach storytelling in a world or universe that is constantly changing and evolving is more about how best to approach things, not a one way is right and one way is wrong kind of deal. I think we can all agree though that adventures, when they do return, need to be longer than 2 weeks, and there needs to be a way to replay them, or at the very least, a method for getting caught up story-wise. I know Rare were talking about a way to view the trailers or story within the game, so perhaps that's an element that they can add for newer or returning players who've missed things. Now, the main point of this video wasn't really to focus on adventures and how they, at least in my opinion, aren't the best way to tell the story of Sea of Thieves. The point of this video was to talk about what the hell happened. It's been nearly 6 months since the last decision point in Sea of Thieves where the community chose to resurrect Flameheart and sacrifice Pendragon. 6 months and nothing has happened in-game. Sure, we've had the updates to New Golden Sands, which is now Port Merrick, and it's now in its final form. However, that was the result of a decision the community made nearly a year ago. Are we going to have to wait 6 more months before Flameheart is resurrected in-game? I certainly hope not. With adventures on hold, supposedly for Season 9, the 5th anniversary and something else, which of course everyone thinks is Pirates Life 2, and come on, at this point it's fairly obvious that it's coming, it's just a case of when. Does this mean that the main storyline for Sea of Thieves and the main villain, Flameheart, and his story is essentially being put on hold for over a year? Now, I've already done a speculation video regarding the future of the story aspects of Sea of Thieves in 2023, including my thoughts on the continuation of a pirate's life. If you want to hear my specific thoughts on that, then click the link in the top right to watch that video, and I'll also link it in the description. If you consider that the 2021 Pirate's Life story didn't really progress the main story of Sea of Thieves, or at least the only real crossover was the Dark Brethren, the rest of the story was about Jack Sparrow and the characters from the Disney franchise. Does that mean that if Pirates Life 2 is coming, that we're going to have to wait again for Sea of Thieves' story to progress in any meaningful way? Let's say for argument's sake, and this is purely speculation, that Season 10 or 11 is the season for Pirate's Life 2. Rare will likely want to give Pirate's Life 2 the time it deserves to shine, and it will of course be a standalone story similar to the previous story that was told. If that's the case, then we could really be talking about Sea of Thieves not progressing its main storyline for over a year. I for one am not very keen on that idea, and I hope that Rare find a way to tell the wonderful stories that can be told with Disney, but also keep their focus on the main story of their game. We're all eagerly awaiting the return of Flameheart, and to wait months on end for nothing to happen in-game doesn't really feel very engaging. There hasn't even been the beginnings of any real change in the game since the Flameheart decision, or at least none that have had any significant impact on the world. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments. So I guess the question is, when will the story continue? When will something happen? The next thing that's likely to be revealed for Sea of Thieves is guilds and how they're going to work. We were teased the idea of them during the orb reveals at the end of last year, and I did put a video out earlier this year talking about what guilds would need to have in order to be a success in Sea of Thieves. I love new features and ways to play, and I'm absolutely in love with Season 9. It's incredible how a small change such as a new chest to hunt and world event updates can really refresh the sandbox. Every Fort of Fortune we come across is a server-wide battle, and it reminds me of the Year 1 Fort days. It's epic every time we play at the moment. But story-wise, I'm feeling a little lost. Sea of Thieves has such an incredible story and universe, and for things to be left so quiet and static for so long just feels wrong. I really hope Rare can get things moving again soon, and that we don't have to wait another year before anything of really real meaning happens with Flameheart. Let me know what you think down in the comments. It's very likely that the next adventure is just around the corner, given that we're already well into Season 9. Rare did say that this pause was temporary, and so I'm really hoping that the ball will start rolling again soon. However, I do still believe that for the story of Sea of Thieves to really captivate even the most casual players, it needs to be told in a way that does not rely on a you had to be there moment. Thanks for watching, and if you would like to see more of my videos, then remember to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the seas.